Why are we so adamant? And this is an honest question that people ask me all the time. Why are you so adamant about Donald Trump? Why not DeSantis? Why not Christy Name? Why not others? And that is a legitimate question. But I've explained to you before that there are some men that are bigger than themselves. Have you ever heard of the doctrine of McCarthyism or the doctrine of Reaganism, Reaganomics? There are some men that are bigger than their person. Emanating forth from their vocal cords is a message. That message is designed for the moment. Such is the case with Donald Trump. He is the trumpet of God to America for this hour. God's anointing is upon the man. Whatever you like or don't like about him, and I heard a very famous preacher the other day say something that broke my heart because this man has a massive following. And he said that if Donald Trump does not change his stance on the vaccine, then he is going to lose a large part of his following. Anyone that leaves Donald Trump would be a fool because God's hand is on the man. Now, I've explained in other videos why I believe that he has not come out with the vaccine. I'm not going to go over it again tonight because I must get to the main point. But the point is, Donald Trump has a message of American greatness. America first. American values. What are American values? What makes us different than Europe? What makes us different than Russia, China? It is our values. It is what we hold to be sacred. Primarily, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of assembly. Individuality is uniquely American. In Europe, it's a village, it's collectivism, socialism. In America, we have not created a system where everyone gets an equal result. We've created a system where everyone gets an equal opportunity. We've done that by creating freedom for you. Once you have your freedom, then you can have your future, and that future will be whatever you make out of it. This is uniquely American. Apple pie is uniquely American. A barbecue stain on a white t-shirt is uniquely American. And Donald Trump rose to the occasion to preach the message that it's time to make America great again, to return her to God first, and to bring her back to freedom to choose, freedom of choice, freedom. And that is why Donald Trump has been anointed by God for this moment. And those that are anointed and have anointed eyes, they see that calling upon him. That's why you look at them and you say, how can you be so pro-Trump when he has so many skeletons in his closet, so many mistakes, so many Stormy Daniels, so many personality traits that are not quote unquote Christian? Our answer to you is we see something. We see a man with a calling for a moment. And we have been called to support that calling. He is our leader in the MAGA movement, and that movement is bigger than the man. I want you to remember what I just told you. The movement emanates from the man, creating from the man the message. The message creates the minions, if you will, those of us that begin to become the echo chamber of his message. You know, Elijah the prophet, he had a school of prophets. Those school of prophets were probably miniature Elijahs. They continued the message of Elijah after he left the scene. Now, to understand the solution, which is the return of Donald Trump, you first got to understand the problem. The problem is the agenda of Joe Obama, that's Obama, and Joe Biden. They have an agenda. This agenda has roots and tentacles that go so deep in darkness, so deep in fundamentally changing America. You're watching it happen before your eyes. You're watching this agenda that is not meant to help the country. I tell every one of you tonight that there is an audacious attempt from Joe Obama all the way up to George Soros, all the way up to Satan himself, to destroy America from within. This is a battle that you and I are in, and it's a battle between two agendas, one dark, one light. It's not a battle between two men, Trump and Joe Biden, or Trump and Obama, or Trump and Soros. No, no, no. It's a battle between two isms, MAGA-ism or leftism. It is a battle between these two theologies. These two isms is what's at battle right now in this nation. Now, these isms have two protectors. One is Soros, Obama, and the other is Trump and a group of people that I'm going to talk to you about tonight called the Trump candidates. Stay with me. Don't get lost tonight. Oh, George Soros may not be sitting in the White House, but he's running America. George Soros is the leader of America right now, the unseen leader. He has a foundation called the Open Society, and he is secretly financing the revolution of an open society. Now, the way that Soros is governing America is through Obama and then through Joe Biden. These men are beholden to the money that puts them in office. And I'll show you a news article tomorrow night about George Soros that will make your hair stand up on your head. How much money he's already given this year alone to this dark agenda. Now, on the other side, you have Trumpism. It's more than a man. It's a return, it's a revolution back to American values. Who is the progenitor? Who is protecting that message? Donald Trump. However, just as Soros is governing America through his candidates, please pardon me, Donald Trump is going to do it the same way. Just as Obama was handpicked by George Soros, there is a group of people rising across this nation that are being handpicked by Donald Trump. Satan does not want to be exposed. His greatest fear is exposure. And the greatest fear of the left is exposure. That's why they hate when Donald Trump says the election. They literally start screeching. They do it on Fox News. I was watching tonight. Even John Hannity has caved. Everyone has caved, and they don't want him saying it anymore. Why? Because Satan hates exposure. And the more people like me and you expose what he did and what he's doing, we become the enemy. We are public enemy number one. I had a vision about 2 years ago in my little church here in Waveland, Mississippi. And I did not know what I was seeing, but while we were worshiping, I saw pearls falling from the sky all over the world. Pearls, little pearls. Now, I didn't know what the vision meant, but I prophesied it and I said, and I see pearls falling on the nations of the world. Well, I knew somewhere in my own mind that pearls sort of identify with China. The pearl, the China pearl. Now I know the meaning of the vision. China sent a gift to the world, an evil gift to the world called cocaine. Now let me tell you why this was a quote unquote gift from China. But why? Because China is in the plan of these world movers this was their great move economically to cripple the world financially from within. I could show you a news report today, and I think I will. Well, I'm not going to fool with it right now, just distract me. But there's a news report about Europe. Their third month of inflation through the roof and bankers not knowing what to do about it. China meant to cripple the known world, America being her primary target. And I know by the Spirit of the Lord that she's got another gift for the world within the next 2 years. China intends to rule the world financially. This is why Joe Obama was placed into office, to be part of the financial demise of America. I'm here tonight to expose the enemy's agenda. It is to create chaos and to make chaos the new normal. The reason that so many people, some people, wanted Joe Biden as president was to what? Calm down the chaos that they caused. They caused the chaos. Sounds like some people I know. Cause chaos and then try to calm the chaos down that you've caused. When chaos becomes normal, normal never exists again. When broken borders become normal, when murdered babies become normal, when marrying each other becomes normal, When anti-God becomes normal, then you have a real pandemic in our country. Now, I'm telling you all this to tell you why we must have the return of Donald Trump and why you need to get refocused on fighting like you know what to get him back. There is an agenda against this nation, and no one can fight it but Donald Trump. Why? God's anointed him for the battle, and he's anointed you to join in the battle with him. There is a real pandemic in this nation, but it's not of it's of something called nihilism. Do you know what nihilism is? If you don't, then you don't understand the real pandemic in this nation. Nihilism is a rejection of all religious and moral principles. It is a belief that life is meaningless. Nihilism is a philosophy that rejects the fundamental aspects of human existence. You know, like boy makes baby. That's called a fundamental aspect of human existence. Respect for your elders, fundamental aspect of existence. Honoring your father and mother, fundamental aspect. But nihilism says that there is nothing to any of that, that all truth is objective. There's no fundamental truth. Nihilism is the belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated. A true nihilist believes in nothing. They have no loyalty to a nation, to a church, to family. They are animals. Nihilists have no purpose in life except to wake up and go to sleep. They desire a complete rejection of the established order or the social system or the religious principles. America has a pandemic of nihilism that is being preached from the pulpits of CNN, from the mouth of Whoopi Goldberg. Nihilism is the pandemic facing our nation. And here comes Donald Trump walking down an escalator saying the total opposite of nihilism, saying that truth is concrete, truth is foundational, saying that borders are necessary, that we must be a people of concrete values of America first. So now you have the real pandemic facing the real enemy of nihilism. Now, in my next Bible study, Saturday morning, for those of you watching that don't know, every Saturday morning we do a live Zoom Bible study with hundreds of believers across the nation on Zoom. I think you've got to be part of our Telegram group to get an invitation to that. So if you're watching, I think our Telegram link is below. Now I've told you the problem. And I've told you what we need, the return of Trump. And you say, Brother Vaughn, that all sounds good, Professor Toto. You've told us the problem. You've told us the solution. But how do we get him back? Is it through a midnight helicopter ride through the land of Oz and we drop him off at the White House, as some have suggested? No. I want to explain to you, and then when I get done explaining to you what I've explained before, I'm going to play you a quick 4-minute video of someone much smarter than me that is saying the exact same thing that I've been trying to teach you for the last few months. If you're taking notes, I want you to write the following 3 words down. I'm fixing to open your mind, and you're going to see the return of Donald Trump this year. Okay? Now, before y'all take me out of context, listen to the whole thing. Y'all let me get a little voice break here 1 second. Let me see if anybody's still with me. Oh, wow. We've got almost 3,000 on Rumble. Yahweh bless every one of you tonight. All right. Write the following 3 words down. Let me look, make sure everybody's listening to me. Jay Fitzarelli, you're close, but not quite. Everybody got your notes ready? Here you go. Write the word proxy down. Proxy. Write the word regency and the word power of attorney. Now, most all of you have heard of power of attorney, but very few have heard the words or know the meaning of the word proxy or regency. Proxy is a powerful word. It literally means the authority to represent someone else in their stead. Okay? Now, let me give you an example. In the olden days, let's say a king was fighting in a battle, but he needed to marry a woman from the other nation to unite the kingdoms. But he couldn't go to the wedding to do it. Do you know what he would do? He would send a proxy to marry that woman in his place. And it was no different than he himself being at that wedding. This was his official proxy. The person that he had chosen, the candidate that he had chosen to govern in his place. Some of you are going to start catching it in a few minutes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, there was no separation between the king or his proxy. Oh, no. Maybe different bodies and different forms, but the same presence, and somebody say the same voice. The same voice. I want to give you an example. You are the proxy of Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. He's not here. He's where? With his Father in heaven, right? And yet, he said, I'll be with you always, even to the end of the world. Do you know why that is? Because you are his proxy, and you have become the face of Jesus, the hands of Jesus, the voice of Jesus. Jesus would love his enemies, and you are now loving your enemies as the proxy of Jesus Christ. You have literally become the city set on a hill, the light of the world. At one time, Jesus was the light of the world. But he said, now you are the light of the world. Why? Because I've trained you in my doctrines. I've trained you in my isms. I've trained you to think like me, to talk like me, to discern like me. You are being sent into the world as me. Oh, my. My. That's right, Linda. Biden is the proxy of Soros. You're getting it. Some of y'all are starting to hear by the Spirit now. Okay? Now, remember when God told Israel, Yahweh told Israel, I will deliver you from Egypt. How many remembers when Yahweh told Israel that? I'll deliver you from the hands of Pharaoh. I will do it. Well, how many knows that Yahweh never came down and delivered them from Egypt, did he? No, no, no. How did Yahweh govern? Through proxy by the name of Moshe or Moses. Moses was so close to God that when Moses showed up, woo! I'm about to get somewhere with this. Y'all hang tight with me now. Okay? That God's raising up an army of proxy soldiers, and they are Trump's chosen candidates that he is handpicking across this nation to bring him back to power through them. I'm just getting started, so y'all hang tight. The power of Trump will be greater than the man called Trump. Write that in your notes. The power of Trump is greater than the man named Trump. He has gathered around himself at his White House in Mar-a-Lago. He has gathered around himself the men that's about to sweep this nation, the men and the women that's about to sweep this nation in 7 short months from today. Trump returns this year. I tell you, Trumpism returns this year. And imagine now if Joe Biden can't get nothing accomplished. My God, they can't even do it. They can't get wait till Trump returns through these chosen candidates. Not just in the Congress, not just in the Senate. No, no, no. Our president is sending checks right now. I've seen them. I know what I'm talking about. He's sending checks to those that are running for secretaries of state in the battleground states. Why? He's got to make sure that them votes are being counted right in about 2 years from now when the person returns. And now the Democrats don't even have they don't even have a majority for 4 more weeks. They lost one of their senators today. They lost one of their senators today. They lost one of their senators. Folks, please hear me. Please hear me well. You've got to get out of those rabbit holes. You've got to get out of those conspiracy theories. You've got to get in the war. You've got to get in this battle. We are Trump. We are Trump. And we are returning and listen, I'm going to show you some poll numbers in a minute that's going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you some poll numbers that you ain't ready for. Okay? Now, what about the other word, regency? Regency is authority that's invested in someone else beside the sovereign, your official replacement. And the power of attorney, how many's ever known that your lawyer, when he goes to court on your behalf, it's just like you being there. That's right, he has the power to be you. In our own House of Representatives, you can vote by proxy, meaning you choose another person to govern in your stead, to vote in your stead. Donald Trump is establishing his government from his White House, and I want everyone to hear what I'm about to say to you. In 7 short months, there will be 2 governments operating in the United States of America. The false government then his campaign begins in full force. So he will be governing 2 years before he's ruling. And that's the night when the lights go out in Georgia. These are his candidates that he is handpicking. Why do you think he's appointing candidates in these battleground states? Because he is setting up his government. He's getting secretaries of state in place. Why? Because the secretaries of state control the counting of the election. He's got to get them in there in 2022. Somebody said, Professor Toto, we've been talking about this for a year. What good is talking about it? When is it going to happen? I'll tell you when it happens. It happens every time you say it. Satan despises the word of faith. Every time you speak that Trump is returning to office, he is as good as there. Why? Because when you talk about it, you keep truth alive. Why do you think they're taking us off of YouTube? Why do you think they want us to shut? They want the truth to go away, but it won't do it because truth never goes away. You and I are called by God to be the standard of truth in a world full of lies. We speak truth. You can ignore it, but you cannot bury it. That's why they hate the truthers. That's why they call us a little Trump cult, because we won't go away. By now, they said we should have given up, but they don't understand. This is not us sitting in front of our computers tonight. It's not me that decided to get on this microphone. I stopped my life to do what I'm doing. My career, everything, God stopped it to keep faith alive, not hope. Hope is up and down, but to keep faith alive and to keep speaking through the airwaves, to keep putting the truth out there that God is bringing back to office Trumpism, Trump truth, Trump Donald Trump himself. Listen to me. The reason this little Trump cult won't go away is because God doesn't do anything that we're supposed to be doing. You understand? There's a relationship between heaven and earth, between God and man. God never did anything without looking for a man. Tonight, you're that man. He found you. There's no other reason you're listening to me tonight. You're part of what God is doing in the earth. There's no other explanation for it, is there? Many of you watching me are not even political, nor was I, because this ain't about politics. This is about truth. It's not about politics. I could give a flipping hair less about politics, but I care about America. I care about my children and grandchildren. What is God doing? I want to read you a verse of scripture. Haggai chapter 1 verse 14. And Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel. And he stirred up the spirit of Joshua. And then he stirred up the spirit of all the people. They came together and did work for God. Let me tell you, in 2020, in 2016, God stirred up the spirit of Donald Trump, a man that was comfortable in his own life and enjoying his own riches. God stirred up his spirit. But then God stirred up our spirit. We came out of every conclave and every corner. We came out of every house and every hamlet. We came by the multiplied thousands. And we keep on coming. Why? Because the Spirit of God has stirred us up. The Spirit of God has called us to stand against tyranny, against sin, and against degradation on every hand. We are the exposers of lies. Everybody knows it, including them. Listen to me, army of Yahweh. You are being trained right now. This last year, you have been in training, preparing for the ultimate battle that comes in 2 or 3 short years in 2024. There's going to be a clash between light and darkness such as you have never seen before. God has been training this army, you, to learn how to fight together in unity. That's why it breaks my heart to see these conservative leaders fighting one another. Y'all are failing in the battle. God's trying to train us to fight together, to believe for Donald Trump. Some men are failing by trying to take a following to themselves that they got from Donald Trump. You know who I'm talking about. They used Donald Trump to get a following and now turning on Trump. They're failing in this battle. But God is creating a group of people that recognizes the anointing on the man Trump for the moment and joining in what's coming on our horizon. The free ride is over. Cute patriotism and cute Christianity has ended. As a body of patriots and believers, we're being trained before 2024 to join in and to bring restoration to America. We're being trained how to pray and how to stand in the hard times, how to not fight against one another, how to stay out of the rabbit holes of carnal-minded leaders in the conservative movement that feed you dates without feeding you truth. God's giving you a discerning spirit to know those that are creating a following versus those that are simply obeying the call of God on their life. God is teaching us to trust in Him more than intel. Oh, hallelujah. I ought to say that one all over again, shouldn't I? God's training us right now to trust in Him more than intel, to stay spiritually minded. How do I know that God is stirring up an army of Trump right now? Because a recent Rasmussen poll says 34% of Democrats support impeaching Biden. 50% of the black voters in America support impeaching Biden. Another poll from ABC says just 1% of Americans view President Joe Biden's economy as excellent. President Donald Trump, meanwhile, drew, they say, up to 80,000 people in Texas last weekend. Why? Because the Spirit of the Lord is stirring up the spirit of Trump all over this nation. While Biden is falling, Trump continues to rise. There's an article that came out today about voter registration. It says voter registration is showing GOP gaining voters in swing states 2-1 compared to Democrats. Why? The Spirit of the Lord is stirring up this proxy army. Right now, Donald Trump has a government of men and women. Marjorie Greene, Jim Jordan, all of these that are rated, they are waiting, they're biting at the bits. If they could, they would go to sleep and wait till November and wake back up. Because what's about to hit our nation is a Trump cyclone. Now, everything I've just taught you, I've been saying for months and months and months. You can imagine how elated I was today when someone sent me this video of a doctor saying the exact same thing. Listen.
See you this morning. I mean, do we think this is actually happening? Is he serious about going forward in 24?
I think everyone wants to know that, but actually, let me tell you what Trump has been doing, because it could be earlier than 2024 and not because the election will be overturned. Trump has been endorsing candidates in each of the different states. We're kind of fed up with the rhinos, which are Republicans in name only. And the other thing is that what people don't understand is that the US is a republic. And in that, you have to think of it like we're 50 different countries. And so he wants to really support state legislatures and secretaries of state so that a lot of the problems that happened in 2020 can get cleared up. But this is the talk that has been going on for 6 or 7 months. And that is, right now, 29 Democrats in the House have said they're not running again. The prediction is we're going to take the House and the Senate. They're talking about Trump being the Speaker of the Senate, and then he will be able to impeach Biden and Harris, and he will be able to take over because he'll be third in line to do that. And this is a lot of the conservative commentators have been talking about this with a lot of detail. Dan Scavino, who handles his social media, keeps sending hints out to us. We get messages in circuitous ways, but don't jump to 2024. I really think what we have to watch is what's going on in the States.
Forgive me, Jan, for jumping in, but I can't help but reflect, because we're talking so much about Russia at the moment. If this was some sort of strategy that Vladimir Putin had used in the past to try and retain or regain a position, we'd be calling it totally corrupt, wouldn't we?
Well, see, you're jumping ahead and not looking at it from the perspective of the U.S. The fact is that people want to recruit him to be the speaker. I'm not saying that that is Trump's plan, but the conservative people have been talking about that because the Speaker of the House does not have to be an elected official. So all I'm saying is watch what's happening in the states. Watch the people that Trump is endorsing. Watch after the midterms what happens, because if we take the House, then things are going to turn upside down amongst our whole political situation.
Wow, do you have any idea how refreshing it is to hear another voice, Dr. Harper, saying the same thing? She's a political scientist. I'm just a Mississippi preacher. But I've tried to teach you the truth for a year. I've tried to give you a channel that you could lean on. That's why our little favorite song is I Told You So, because I want you to know that God has given a spirit of discernment to understand what's really happening in America. She had to educate those newscasters, teach them what a republic is. Now you might understand why Donald Trump is going after the state legislatures in certain states, state secretaries, not all states, those battleground states. He's taken an interest in the local legislatures. Why? Because he understands we are a republic. He understands it is the legislatures and the Secretary of State that controls that election. And now, this is why it is so important for you to understand, like Dr. Harper said, when we take the House, when we take the Senate, Trumpism has returned. Whether he comes in as Speaker of the House, I don't know. But imagine if Jim Jordan is Speaker of the House. Don't you think he would be a Trump proxy? Yeah? Don't you think he would investigate what Trump would investigate. Why? He's a proxy. The man himself may not be there, but the mindset can be there. And that's all we need until the man returns. God bless you tonight. Thank you for enduring me through this. It's been a little difficult, I know, to listen to me probably because of my shortness of breath, but thank you for allowing me to come into your homes tonight and be a part of you. Well, until we meet again, I hope you'll join me in this little song before